Ready? Wait for the technical issues over here. All right, this will be the regular call meeting of the Manchester Planning Commission. First item is approval of the minutes from the April 21, 2025 meeting. I know I was not able to attend that meeting, but I saw two things I just wanted to make sure. I think probably that on page 7, the minutes need to reflect that at 6:50 PM, the Planning Commission, instead of adjourned, I think that it would be proper there to say recessed to the BOZA meeting, and then the motion to, instead of motion to adjourn by Cheryl Swan, was motion to recess by Cheryl Swan, seconded by Brad Goodwin. Would that be correct? Okay. So with those two changes, I guess then we would need, any other changes or corrections? If not, we need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
As amended,
With the two corrections.
any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I'll just re-sign those when you reprint them. Next is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Agenda is approved. Next item is comments from citizens. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to comment on any item on the agenda tonight, this would be the appropriate time. Give a minute for the crowd to stand up. Seeing none, we'll move on to regular business. First item is a preliminary final plat, 3 lots at 104, 106, and 108 East Ford Street for Brett Henley, zoned C1. Well, let's see, we have one of the surveyors here, so I don't know, Brittany, if you want to talk us through it? Or?
Yeah, so currently, lot 1, 2, and 3 are all combined, but they are separate businesses, obviously with separate addresses as listed on the agenda. They are in the C1 district, so it's Mr. Henley's desire to subdivide those 3 buildings. And since they're in the C1 district, that is allowed. There's not a minimum lot size, and they are allowed to have a 0 setback. So this is an existing building simply being divided by how it currently is. The only thing we have as a comment is just kind of statements, more or less, that the minimum rear setback is not being met for the C1 district, but they are existing buildings. It's always been that way, so no action is necessarily required for that. And then there are some AC units and pads for those on the rear that appear to be on other property, but that it's always existed as that. So it's a pre-existing condition and no action is required.
What 3 businesses are they?
Henley Propane,
Would be lot 2.
there is a comic book store.
Comment would not be.
I think that's what lot 1 is.
Yeah.
And then lot 3 is an office or a business of some sort.
Okay, but it meets the requirements for the
Yeah,
C1 zone?
So C1 is a lot different just because it is here on the square. They are allowed to have a 0 side setback. And as stated, the rear setback is 20 feet. But this is a pre-existing condition.
Our non-conforming use.
Yeah.
So
He's taking a single building and creating 3 titles for the building, I guess. Is that right?
That's what I've gathered here.
So are there any special requirements when you do that to take a building that was on one lot, one building, and you're creating 3 buildings now?
The C1 zoning requirements allow for this. There's no minimum lot size. It is allowed to have a 0 lot line essentially.
Are you talking from a construction standpoint?
Yeah, from a code standpoint, now that it was one building.
More of a zoning standpoint, I think, is.
Okay, well, I was thinking codes. I'm
That's what I
thinking
was thinking.
fire requirements,
Yeah.
fire protection requirements change, or, I
Those
just
are-
didn't know.
Those are
Access,
they're pre-existing conditions, so we wouldn't require them to change it upon parceling it out.
There, looks like there are those, I assume the way that's drawn, are block walls, so those are the party walls between them. So it's not like you have a wood frame wall
No, I got
separating
you,
them.
I got you. And then fire ratings, and then is there like two accesses required?
So each office space has its own access.
One, does it have a second access? Does a second access required based on so many square feet?
This one does, I believe, all three do, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, that's just, it's just strange when you have one building that may not meet all code requirements, but when you create three buildings, three
It's
offices.
currently three buildings, so they're not constructing walls.
But the property
I know.
line, the property
Okay.
line means something.
The property line
It
means something.
in terms of code.
And it may very well be, I don't know that, I obviously haven't researched it, but it very well could be that over the years, Mr. Henley acquired those as separate buildings and that's had them all tacked as one or not? Or have they always been just one lot?
I couldn't speak on that, it's a very old building. They may very well just be combined by deed. And he wants to separate them by plat rather than.
I got you, okay.
Just out of curiosity, who owns the property that the AC's on?
120 Spring Street Holdings LLC.
Okay.
I'm not sure who owns the LLC, but that's what the tax map shows.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Is there a motion to approve or to?
My only comment is that it'd make me feel better if somebody just studied it a little bit more. Because it is odd to take a single building, put it down, make it three separate buildings, and often then there are additional requirements required by codes, because now it's a building on its own. But that's my only comment. If y'all don't believe it is, then I'm fine.
Well, I mean, I'd be curious what's happening with the roof. Is the roof, one roof goes all the way across? Do those walls go all the way up through the roof? Do they I mean,
We did not do a building inspection prior to
would
the
that
plat.
necessitate something like that, though? All of a sudden, you put a property line through a building, essentially?
I know that with the chamber building, it's in a similar situation where you have common walls and there's separate property lines and
I mean, it's
Say
like
most
the
of the buildings on the square.
Are that way.
Are,
Yeah.
have
But-
party walls.
No, I got you. I mean, it's common to have that.
Mhm.
But again, when a building is inspected, it's inspected for its entirety. But now it becomes three separate buildings. They're titled three separate ways. There could be specialty things like, you could have had an access to the front of this one and an access to the back of that one, but now because it's so many square feet, it requires a second access.
Right.
And I
Without
guess the
having a copy of
question,
the deed, it could be track 1, track 2, track 3 on a deed and just be all on one warranty deed and as parceled as one property. And maybe he's doing this to parcel it as 3 properties.
I know that's what he's doing. I know that's why he's doing it. I just didn't know. Don't know the history of it. But anyway, that was just my comment.
I don't know. I didn't pull the
And
deed.
I think without an alteration to the structure itself, I can't necessarily require them to put a party wall up through to the roof deck or anything of that sort.
You could say that if that now, because it's three separate titled spaces, that you don't have the fire break you need because it's three separate ones.
But the firewalls are based on the use of the building, not the property line necessarily, sometimes. I
You
mean, it's
have
kinda
to
based on
separate
both.
them. You have to separate the buildings though, right? Each of the buildings downtown that are all have walls back to back,
Right,
right? That wall provides you a fire rating.
right.
And all those walls go all the way up to the roofs of each one of those. In this case, I don't know that the walls do. That's just a question. Maybe they do, I don't know. And they could have been, once upon a time, three separate titled buildings that were added on, but I don't know that. So that's my only question about that.
and that may be something, and I'm not sure if we're getting past what our authority here is or not. Brittany, you can, Adam, you can say, but it may very well be that since they're all still owned by the same person, would something along those lines have to be addressed if if one of those was to be sold,
Right.
would the purchaser require something in their contract with the seller to ensure that things were, whether they were up to current code or whether they were whatever?
Do they all have separate HVAC systems?
Well, you got 3 units, you got 4 units back there, it looks like.
Okay. And one's not serving 2, and one's serving 1, and, you know,
Right.
not that kind of thing, they're not crossing over or anything?
Yeah.
All right.
So at this point, if he was to sell them individually, some of the utilities may have to be redone, right?
I would think so.
If he's got 1 meter now or 3 meters right now, right? Those type of
Correct.
things. But anyway, that's, I guess, happens when they sell it. Okay, just checking.
Okay,
Good questions.
very good. Any other comments, questions? Adam, you're awful quiet tonight. You getting it? At least so
He's
far.
more into roads and accesses and easements than he is building, I'm sure.
What were you gonna say, Dr. Swanson?
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure that what you were saying earlier, that these were 3 separate things that were, you know, essentially bought by the same person, and they made it into one. Now they're just pre-selling it as 3, so I'll make a motion.
To approve. Okay, we got a motion to approve. Is there a second? Been seconded. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to item number 2, preliminary and final plat for 2 lots at 504 South Spring Street for Marcelo Aguilar, zoned R3. I don't see anybody here for Mr. Aguilar, Brittany, so I guess it's back to you.
So this is a combination plat. So currently this larger parcel here, is all by its lonesome, and he is combining this smaller parcel along Wayburn Street with it. Our only punch list item for this plat, is that this shed right here is gonna become non-compliant because it's gonna fall too close to the property lines. So I will require it be removed prior to, release of the plat. There is an existing dwelling on the parcel, an existing paved drive, a couple of other accessory structures. I think he stated that this one's to be removed because that's just what the owner has planned to do, not that it's required. Property is currently zoned R3. Just a combination plat nonetheless.
So he bought access to Rayburn Street.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing really to do with that 2-story frame house. It looks like it doesn't meet setbacks right there on the corner of it. Is that what that little line is?
Yes, that's correct, but that's a pre-existing.
Already
condition.
there.
I got you.
His property line's remaining the same.
Looks like he owns the other side though, right?
Yes,
Sorry.
there is another parcel here that he owns as well.
Okay, but other than that one punch list item, that was the only thing you had?
That's the only thing we have.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
So the garage and the carport and the shed all are over the setbacks, but you're only asking for the shed? Is that,
I think that line's an existing line there.
okay.
So this is an existing line, well, wait a minute.
That's the new
It's-
severance line.
This is the new line. And accessory structures are allowed to be 5 feet from the property lines. So I think this is the one that falls within, too close to that. But I can double check on that and get Nicholas to point out exactly what those measurements are there.
So the garage and carport are considered accessory?
Yes.
Plus, if that line was already there, those would be already pre-existing. too.
Pre-existing, they're pre-existing. When he creates a new line, that other one now is, we're creating a condition.
Right.
So he bought that lot right there where your quick is at.
Yes.
He bought that.
So there was a property line here, and this property line was not here. So this was all.
So now he can put a drive in and put whatever he wants back there.
He's got access off South Spring Street, right?
Yes.
Both streets
No.
now.
Well, now, yeah.
Not really, because if he was to break it again in the future or whatever, then he gets the access out Rayburn Street.
He has 2 points of access, at Rayburn Street and South Spring Street.
Suits me. All right, any other comments or questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve, subject to the punch list.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
She's
Oh,
gonna
I'm sorry.
check that to make sure that that is, but so that may not be a requirement, right? You said you was gonna have him check that.
Right, I'll see if it's within 5 feet.
I think he's shown that setback line right there to be 10 feet, so you can see that it's beyond halfway.
Yeah.
So I think that you're probably pretty safe.
Good? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, looks like items number 3 and 4 on the agenda, of course, were deferred, so we're down to number 5, which is the new number 3. And that is acceptance of Creekwood Road and Villas at Springhouse. Brittany, you want, or Adam, has that been brought up to city standards and?
Yes, so Adam, George, and myself were on site, and we found a few things that have been addressed. This has went through the street committee with approval. I deferred it last month from you all because there were some letters of credit for the streets and the sidewalks. However, he did not install sidewalks around the cul-de-sac. And there was a portion between these 2 townhouses here that he did not install due to the fact that he has plans for, future plans for the adjacent properties. So he stated that the cul-de-sac was a temporary cul-de-sac and that this was for a future roadway potentially. So I had requested an additional letter of credit for the remainder sidewalk in those 2 places. He did not want to do another letter of credit, so instead he decided to install the sidewalks around the cul-de-sac and in this section. This section looks great. The cul-de-sac, I would like to leave it as a temporary cul-de-sac and not accept the cul-de-sac because the sidewalk is flush with the pavement. I'll let Adam kind of explain that just a little bit here in a minute. It looks great, but it's not typical standard for the sidewalk to be flush with the asphalt pavement. So I would like us to accept Creekwood Road up to the cul-de-sac only. Aside from that, we did do an inspection, it met the standards. George at the street department accepted it, the street committee themselves accepted it. This will go before the board as a resolution for final acceptance.
So it's really a recommendation from
Yes.
this board?
So Brittany, the potential future stuff, it's just to the left of this project. It's not anything that's down below.
So
Yeah, it goes over down that corner, I think.
This parcel
Running
and
off
this
of the
parcel,
It's not, is it that parcel or not?
it would be both parcels
Oh,
potentially.
okay,
He
okay.
has not submitted any plans at this time. It was
Okay.
just a verbal.
Doesn't Allen own that property
Yes,
now?
yes, Mr. Howard owns both of these parcels.
And he came before us last month or the month before last and kind of pulled his
Yeah,
request for annexation.
yeah.
Those are
These
separate
are-
properties.
Those are in the
This
city.
is
I don't
different.
care.
So this is off of Hillsborough Boulevard.
Oh, where is,
That's where the old fire station used to be, right?
Yes.
That-
You
So
got
Buck
Buck
Street,
Street right there.
Martin does their fireworks here. The river's here, Owl White Ford is here.
Yeah.
Are we Is everybody where we are?
What
Yeah.
property
Okay.
was
Yeah.
it question?
Okay, sorry. I guess I failed to mention where exactly we are. But, so this is the Spring House Villas. It's the townhomes that are being constructed
Yeah.
just before you get to Ally Motors. That street is known as Creekwood Road. And all of the other things I've already stated.
Do you have anything else you want to do?
As far as the sidewalks at the cul-de-sac there, those sidewalks are directly adjacent to the road. Typically, when you do that, you would have them elevated up above the road and wouldn't have stormwater off the road washing across your sidewalk and silting it up and those kind of things. This is built right flush with the pavement, so you get sheet flow across there, and
That's how he's draining it.
yeah, and whenever you have sidewalk that doesn't have a grade difference, it's supposed to have a 5-foot offset green space in between the road and the sidewalk to clearly delineate pedestrian versus vehicle path. That's why on the sidewalks you see the Public Works Department install around town, there's typically the ditch in between the sidewalk and the road. They keep that offset. And this was not constructed that way.
So it would be what you'd be looking for would be a recommendation then from this committee to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to accept Creekwood Road up to the cul-de-sac.
So it would be treated like a typical just gravel cul-de-sac, like in other developments that you've accepted, when they intend to extend the road further.
Right. Okay, any other
Who
thoughts or
keeps the
questions?
cul-de-sac up? It's paved, right?
Yes, sir.
This one is paved.
So there won't be any upkeep to it.
Be on the developer.
It'll be on the owner.
Because the city only owns up to it. So the city would have no obligation to,
No man's land.
yeah. Paint some orange paint.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments? If not, we need to send some sort of a yay or nay recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we send a positive recommendation to accept the road up to the cul-de-sac.
Okay,
A second.
all right, we got a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 6, the new 4, is amendment to fee schedule, Manchester Municipal Code 14-809 and 14-810. Did I see an attachment on that,
All
Brittany?
right.
Yeah, so I gave you guys, a couple of handouts as well. You got there.
Speak up there. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
She was talking to herself until she got this thing corrected, so we can go see both
Yes.
of them or whatever. So the thing on the left, that's what it is currently.
It's in here.
So, you have a handout that shows the existing fees and the proposed fees on
Mhm.
one page. And then you also have a handout that covers the,
Comparisons.
yes.
Benchmark.
It's just showing the ones that I compare to. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to be all on the screen. Yes, so I compare Tullahoma, Shelbyville, Winchester, Rutherford County, and Lewisburg. Tullahoma and Shelbyville are essentially our neighbors, and of course Winchester is as well. Rutherford County is very close to us. Lewisburg, I chose them because they have the same population we do, essentially. I did try for one other town that had the same population, but they don't answer the phone.
And they don't return.
And they don't have anything on their website. So I like to think that what I have proposed here is just above a medium fee compared to the others. I did add an annexation request fee of $1,000.
Do we not have that today?
We do not currently have an annexation fee.
Really? Wow.
So, and then I also added, increased the rezoning fees to $750 from $200. And I divided site plans into minor and major, because I mean, there are just some of those site plans that we get that are just alterations to buildings, and I don't feel like it would be fair that they were charged a
I got you.
fee. Preliminary and final plat fees for major subdivisions, significant increase. I did add a minor plat lot line shift fee, because we do see a lot of lot line shifts. So I don't feel like that they necessarily need to pay a hefty fee for something so minor. Construction plans are a very lengthy review, from what Mr. Adam here tells me. So I do feel that that is needed, that price increase, and then a variance and special exception doubled.
Brittany, do these fees, do they represent resubmittals? I mean, if, let's say you get a application in, and you've got comments or whatever, goes back to the developer, brings it back, they're not paying again.
Correct.
This is a one-time
Yes.
deal, so they can come back 3, 4, 5 times.
No, not necessarily,
I mean,
but
is
so
that-
the way our planning commission submittals work, if you have a site plan, and you submit it, it goes through a staff review process, before it comes to you all, and they get a punch list.
Okay,
It's typically a lot longer than the ones you guys see. They
Okay.
address those items and resubmit, and
Okay.
that's what you all see.
okay.
So the squares with no numbers, are there no fees?
So Rutherford County doesn't have an annexation fee because
It's a
I don't
county.
think we can be annexed into a county. I couldn't,
Wait a minute, take it.
NA, wow, not applicable. Wow.
and then some of them, they were just not listed on their fee schedule.
I know, you don't need-
They don't do construction plans in Shelbyville.
It wasn't listed on their fee schedule, and I ran out of time to contact them and get more specifics.
Do you feel like within the increase of price that you're doing now, it's gonna be able to cover y'all's costs as far as advertising? And, because I know that was a concern on the last meeting, of being able to at least break even.
Right,
or
yes.
Not be,
So for annexations and rezonings, we have to post ads for those, and we also have to put signage out. I don't charge for the signage, but I do have to purchase them. I try to
Right.
reuse them as much as I
Send
can.
out letters.
And we do have to send out letters.
So
to
you already
all
said, is the
adjacent
man, the
properties.
paper doesn't give you those for free?
Start charging to come to this meeting, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So between newspaper ads, administrative items, and signage, I don't feel like these prices are too steep. And then for all of the plats and plan reviews, I mean, I have to recoup my costs that we pay Scott's office. And then, ideally, I like to assume that the city wants to have a little bit of revenue.
No. I don't think, and here's the point, and I'm gonna make it, okay? Not everything the city does has to make money, okay?
It doesn't have to make money, but I believe the taxpayers would like for it to pay for itself.
I believe that we need to be in line with Tullahoma, Shelbyville, and Warren County, or McMinnville. I don't believe we need to worry about being in line with Rutherford County.
Rutherford
Or
County is very
Lewisburg.
steep, I agree.
I went to Lewisburg, so it's an hour drive, hour and 10 minutes. It's not even connected. I don't think other than having the same population, which you could say for
Is McMinnville?
40, 50 cities in
Is
you know,
McMinnville have the same population?
Close.
As us? Okay.
close. I think you're getting a little carried away with your fees. And look, I know every one of these are gonna be pass-through fees, all right? And I know houses are hard to finance and pay for already. And you're gonna add a couple, $2,000 or $3,000 to every house that gets built if you're not careful with your fees. And I don't think we ought to go there. And you had some surplus this year. You had enough surplus in your budget to buy a truck. So you're not hurting. okay? I mean, I'm just saying, I agree, I think we ought to pay for but I think we're more than paying for it.
You think this is?
Have
too
you,
good a jump?
have you seen, so it's interesting in that taking their bills they send us, taking the cost for the work that they do, what you're saying is the current fees we have actually pay for all that?
No, I'm not saying that, I'm saying we could stand to raise a little bit, okay?
It could stand a bump.
We could stand a bump, but I think we're getting too carried away with a bump. I think we got a hill instead of a bump.
Well, the only thing I would say is I like you benchmarking. I think that's the right thing to do. And because Tullahoma's is $300 for rezoning, that doesn't mean it covers their cost. And they could be looking at the same thing, looking to raise theirs to $1,500 or whatever the case might be. In Winchester, Lord, who knows about Winchester? I don't even understand those costs or whatever. That can't recoup what the real costs are. But I think we have to know what our real costs are, and we have to see how does that compare to everybody else.
Let's get our real costs.
And then we could say is that we believe those are fair.
We could talk
We-
about it if we had our real costs.
Yeah, well, you've got their total budget.
We do, but we don't have it broken down as to how much.
No, but
Yeah.
you could see, are they covering 90% of their cost or 50% of their cost?
It's not broken out in that. like
I mean,
that in the
total.
budget. Well, their total budget, they got
They got surplus, he said.
they got surplus this year.
But that has nothing to do.
I know,
It's
but
not-
that's
it's
what
not
you're
broken
asking
into the
for.
activities.
No, what
It's
I'm
activity.
asking for is how much money did they generate?
What I'm asking for is a list of what everything that you want to raise prices on cost us to do.
Like the annexation. You said
What's-
that you have to do that in the newspaper and you have to put the signage. So what's the newspaper cost, that ad?
$575 for one ad, and then you have your public notice meetings.
So put that on a piece of paper.
$575 for one ad. that
Okay,
shows the map
let's
and
just
stuff.
do one.
And then you have your public notice meetings about your plans of service and stuff that usually runs over $100, $100 to $150.
So over $675.
$675 just on advertising.
And that's not
That's-
including any of their time.
It's actually
Including
seven.
time.
So I think $1,000 is a
$725.
very good,
No, I ain't going there, man. I just not. I think it's wrong. I think it's too much.
Well, how can?
But that's
why?
just my thinking,
No, I got
okay?
you, but we just want to appreciate you
Yeah.
thinking.
No, I don't, you know,
You don't want me to
That's
appreciate
all right.
you thinking, that's okay.
Well, right now it's zero.
I also want to say that.
I mean, it's nothing right now today, so.
but cost us $600,
$75 talking about.
$675, so we're in the hole.
I have extra from this past budget year, but I want to point out that Adam's office has not began charging me their new fees. So I don't know what that's gonna look like yet, because they've
We're
been
we're
kind
holding
enough,
off until y'all.
they've been kind
I-
enough. to
look,
hold
I'm
off
just-
for next
I-
budget year.
you bring a list of what everything costs, okay? I mean, how many hours do you have?
I gotta back up a minute. You're holding off on submitting your fees to see what we're gonna
We're-
increase to?
We're
No.
holding off on
Raising.
increasing our fees.
So-
I
so-
know what the increase in fees are gonna be from Scott's
Okay,
office, but they have
okay.
not began charging us those fees
Okay.
yet. because I
And
was-
that's.
That's
roll-
better
roll-
stated. I know where
You knew where I was headed. I was like,
Yeah. He's already said those, but he's not charged, applied
I
them
was
yet.
like, wait a minute.
Well, is that a separate line in your budget? That doesn't come out of these fees.
It comes out of this budget. Yeah, those
It's a,
costs.
it's a separate line in your budget.
Yeah.
Their cost. It's
Right.
not tied to these things.
No,
Okay.
Well, they are
I mean,
to
this
some
is-
degree.
it is-
She's
it's
trying,
tied.
she's trying to tie it all together, right?
Okay.
She's given some thought to how much work they put into each one of these things.
That includes their cost.
yes.
It includes their cost, that's
Because
right.
I pay them from my budget.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah, okay.
Look, we've done rate increases all over the place. The
Yeah, I
Water
know.
department,
I'm just late
the
to the
street
game.
department, you know, but when they ask for a rate increase, they bring us how much the material costs, how many hours it takes to do this job. And we know our cost, okay? We're not just throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping we're gonna hit something that's right. I mean, I'm not opposed to rate increases. I just wanna,
And it looks like the last increase, I'm assuming it was an increase and not a decrease, was in 2005,
Yes.
so 20 years ago.
yeah, I'm sure we need it. I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just saying I wanna know where we're at. I wanna know what it cost us for a variance or a special exception, or a minor plat. I mean, what's involved, what's it cost, how many man-hours do you have in it?
Well, you know, it probably varies with each one.
Well, it could, but there's gotta be an average.
I know, but at the high level, I think what you start with is how much it costs for all those people, how much it costs for the support of the engineering, and what does it cost for advertising? And then you see, boom, this is how much our costs really are. I know she may be under her budget or over her budget, but that budget was based on no more detail than this.
I know.
Okay? And so you do that, and then you say, okay, well, it looks like I need to raise across the board all of my things 20%.
So let's do that.
Well, that's another way of doing the same thing. And she's taking her feel for it. And she's
Right.
using her professional abilities to come up with these new things. So we could spend 2 years talking about it.
No, I don't
And
want to spend 2 years talking about it, I'm not gonna argue about it, I'm happy whatever happens, but I'm just saying,
Because last
We
week,
need to know.
last month, you just wanted to approve them.
we need
So
to
you
know.
start
I
getting
know,
money now.
you know what, but I've thought about that since, that's right, and I thought that's not the right thing to do. Look, it's hard enough for people to buy a house as it is today, you know? I mean, a couple $1,000s makes a world of difference sometimes, it makes a difference between buying a $300,000 house or $350,000 house, you
I
know?
don't think this will drive those type of
I
increases.
think it'll drive them up more than you think.
So, I didn't provide you all with this, but I have it here
Okay.
and these are Adam's increases in fees, if you don't mind me sharing them. So for a site plan review, his base fee is gonna be $500, plus an additional per 5,000 square foot of developed area is $25 extra, with a maximum fee of $2,000. So I did the best I could to include what Adam's charging for, and I did his base fee for a minor site plan. And then for a major site plan, I mean, most commercial lots, which is what a site plan is required from, is a commercial lot.
Mhm.
The minimum size of the C2 or C3 is 20,000 square feet. So any commercial lot over the minimum size is gonna be charged that much more off of the maximum fee of Adams, which is $2,000 for a site plan. So I'm really not getting much revenue from a site plan review there. The annexation we've already talked about,
Plus adding your advertisement fees to that.
so I don't have to advertise a site plan.
Oh, you don't?
So, and then the rezonings or amendment to the text ordinance, I do have to do an ad in the paper for that. I could maybe reduce that one, but you gotta think about administrative fees. We accept the application, we do the permit for it, we coordinate with the owner, the property owner, we send out letters to all the adjacent owners. That's at a minimum, that's a minimum of 3 property owners, or actually, it's not even adjacent, it's within 200 feet. So, let's just picture somebody rezoning something here on the square. That's a lot of people, that's a lot of letters, and that's Grace's time that she has to write those letters.
Contact Register Deeds Office quite often.
Right. For plats, Adam's base fee here is $400 plus $10 per lot on final and an extra $20 per lot on preliminary. So I went with $300 for a base fee, and then I did an extra $100 per lot, which is a lot. But again, coordinating with these property owners and the engineers and the grading contractor and the erosion control contractor, there's just so many Indians that play the chief game in a development, and coordinating all of that is an absolute nightmare in my email. And I think that that's worth something.
Brittany, clarify for me, when you're talking about time that's being spent on any one of these things, it's from the time it first gets initiated.
Actually, it's before that, because they typically have preliminary conversations
So
and
they'll-
calls with me.
They'll come in, talk to you, call you on the phone, ask you some questions, that's time.
Yes.
When does it end? The time that you would be spending on that project, or
It does
any
not
of
end
these?
until the project's complete.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
It's more than just approved here
Yeah,
in
because
Boma.
9 times out of 10, a project wants a temporary certificate of occupancy so that they can stock the shelves or so that they can open the doors to the public, but they don't have their detention area done. So I then have to get with George and coordinate a bond amount for how much it would actually cost to finish the project if they were to abandon it and leave after I've issued them a certificate of occupancy.
But you're thinking that this is the only income that's coming in off of that project, and it's not.
I'm thinking that this is the income
It's
that
not the
my
only
labor
income.
pays for.
It-
But it
But,
affects her
but
department.
but the government is the whole government, okay? Everything. You're getting, if that's a new business, opening the doors, you're getting tax revenue off that new business, okay? And all that funnels into you. And I've been here 6 years, I've never seen us turn down anything you've asked for. And I don't think that we ever will, because you're a well-run department, okay? For the most part. There's always,
I was
all
waiting
right,
on it.
yeah, for the most part. But I'm just saying, you can't figure that this is the only income that's coming into the city. It may be the only income coming into your department, but the city, the income's coming in general fund's giving it to you. I don't think you need to worry about breaking even on stuff.
It's not what I've been told from other people.
I know, but that's what I think.
I think this comes closer to what people call full cost accounting. You're trying to put costs where costs go.
Yes.
And when you do that, and when you manage that, that is the way you reduce your tax rates. That's how it works.
We've been at a tax increase in 16 years.
That's good.
Let's keep it that way.
Let's
Let's
keep
keep
it
it,
that
yeah.
way, yeah. Got no
If-
problem with that.
if she has a-
I don't foresee one either.
And if her fee income-
And Brittany, is this would this be an ordinance change? Would this have to go to the Board of Mayor and Alderman?
This
Is
would be a
this-
recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It would be an ordinance because it is an amendment to Title 14, but I'm not gonna pay $750. It would be an ordinance and it would have to
I'll
be.
get it.
It would be 2 readings.
So,
I'd have to put it out in the
But
paper.
what I'd offer up is what Marcus brought up are good points. You need to just share some of the thought process that you went through to come up with some of these things. Because when you put numbers up, somebody goes from 200 to 1,000, saying, well, what's going on here? And you have to put some thought and share your thoughts, like you put thought into it, to share your thoughts with them when they start asking questions, or maybe even before they start asking questions. Let me tell you how I come up with some of these. I did benchmarks, but I also looked at the costs that we're having, inside our department. Let me give you an example or two. It just adds credence to what you're presenting to them, I think.
So that
So
it's
it's
not
a
just,
discussion
so it's not just
3
dark.
hours, then you'd say, okay, this is 3 hours of employee time at X amount of dollars, and it equals this. And so that added into the cost. That's gonna help explain, what's added to the 675 to come up with 1,000.
Yeah. So you've done, huh?
None of the projects are the same.
I know.
Yeah.
They're
That's
not
true,
the same,
that's
but
true,
you're gonna
yeah.
have different employee time on each one of them. So you can still at least give us the employee time.
And when you just said, I think we have some are more complex than others. And I've tried to divide some of those up from minor site to major site. But what I've tried to do is come up with an average. Some are only 2 hours, some are 4 hours. And so I've used 3 hours or whatever logic that you had. I think you had some good logic. You shared that with us there.
It makes a difference.
It does.
It makes a difference.
I took into account, that's the point of this meeting, is to discuss it verbally.
No, you're doing good. I think you did, you
Yeah.
prepared well. I just think when you get in front of the BOMA, you almost get ahead of the curve and say, hey, I got a bunch of questions from these people. This is the same mindset that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen is gonna have. Let me get in front of it. Here's what the current rates are. Here's what the new rates I propose. Let me show you. I benchmarked it to the local other cities, and then I went a deep dive and said, I looked at this as a thing. This usually takes me about 4 hours. Some are 2, some are 6. And this is how you came up with those things. I think that's a good thing.
And your costs, like we talked about on the ads and engineering.
Yeah,
and
people don't
everything.
appreciate that. Some of these state requirements, people don't appreciate the cost it drives to the cities when they have to do those things.
Good. got a question. So based off what you've said, of your budget, of your revenue, how much of that is based off of fees versus general funds, funding?
Don't know. I don't think they know.
Well, we know how much they bring in fees.
Right, so we,
I
I
don't
mean,
know what
my,
the figure is right now, but we know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that go into the general fund, or does it stay a line item with your
No,
department?
it goes into the general fund. What she takes in goes into the general fund. And then she
You're
asks
asking
for.
her to be more detailed than y'all are.
No.
I mean, with all due respect.
She asks for it back in a budget every year, and we always say yes. So theoretically, not technically, but theoretically, she could get zero funds. She could get zero fees
You still operate.
and still operate without the loss of anything.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't need her department.
Well, I'm
But
just-
anyway,
Well,
I
that's a
know.
fair question, though, is how much of that general fund is, what's the percentage of
Yeah.
her fees in that?
Yeah.
And then how much
And
is
if she can
being
offset,
funded out of the general fund, that's not her fees to her department. I
Yeah.
think
and
that's
as the city grows, if you offset her department by fee revenue, and it's not going on the person that's lived in their house for the last 40 years, so their property tax doesn't go on, I think that's
Her fees
good department.
are
I think you do
a
a
very
good job.
small amount of her budget. I'm gonna say, what, 10%? Are they 10% probably? Maybe less?
I mean, it varies every year, it depends on the amount of.
What is it, 10, is it 15, is it 20? I know it varies every year, but what's the range?
You know, we're right in the middle of a budget thing right now, and it's not that much. I mean, I've looked at it. I don't know the exact, but it's 10, 15%.
Well, do you think that she should generate more monies for the work she does?
Look, I think that we need to increase fees.
Okay.
I don't think we need to try to keep up with Rutherford County and Lewisburg and other counties. I don't think we need to be there just because they can do it, doesn't mean that we have to do it,
So
or we
you-
can do it.
You're thinking that this is gonna have a direct impact to the consumer,
I do,
ultimately.
I do.
I got it.
or discouraged new development.
It's pass through. What you charge the developer, it's gonna go right on through to the buyer.
The impact
Yeah.
fees haven't swayed developers.
Not at
No,
all.
no, they haven't, and they're not going to. But they've raised the price on houses. It's a pass-through. The impact fees are a pass-through expense, and they're not ever gonna, unless we get crazy with them, they're not gonna hurt the developer, because whatever the developer pays, he's just gonna pass it right on through, and that buyer's gonna have to pay for it.
I think the market takes care of the price, not the cost.
No? Do you know? The market's got a lot to do with it, I know, but there's got to be a break somewhere.
There has to be, but when more money comes in the system, it does mean your taxes can stay low. When
It
more
does,
money comes
yeah.
into the system, that means your taxes can stay low. So it all feeds on each other.
It's a vicious circle maybe, okay? I see what you're saying, but
Okay, I got you.
But I'm okay with raising prices. I mean, I think we need to raise them. I do. We're off, okay? But I'm saying if we don't make up, if we charge $500 for, I don't know.
So
whatever we're
are
charging
you,
1,000 for,
are you asking, are you requesting that the staff come back with some other pricing? And I guess it depends if there's a motion to approve or to send it with a positive recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Alderman? Or do you have specific ones you would like to propose and say, rather than 1,000 for annexation, you'd want to see 800, rather than construction plans being 630, you'd want them to be 420, or, I mean, what's do you have?
I
some-
think, just rough off the top of my head, I think if we were at about 60% of what's proposed as an increase, instead of increasing that, all that, and increase about 60% of what we're increasing it, I think we're okay.
See, I think that sounds like we're throwing a dart. It sounded like she came up with some real numbers to come up with this example.
And I'm saying we don't need to pass all those real numbers on, is what I'm saying. I'm saying the city will cover those real numbers, I mean, the difference.
It's two different philosophies.
It is
Absolutely
indeed, it's
two
true,
different
yeah,
philosophies. And so I think we just put it up
Yeah.
to the, and so we're gonna promote, depending on how our vote goes, we're gonna promote philosophy.
Yeah.
And then you can talk about it more, we won't be there.
No, that's fine, and I will, and, you
I'm
know.
sure you will.
no.
Yeah, are you Tullahoma's engineer as well?
St. John Engineering is, I personally am not.
Are they, those new fees getting passed to them as well? The new increases?
No, they do everything hourly. They just pay us hourly.
So it's how our contract is with you?
Not
I
necessarily a
requested
contract.
the fee schedule, because this is how they've always paid me by the fee schedule that way, and I requested that it remain the same, or close to.
Using a fixed priced approach, try to control costs to some degree, right?
That's how we lose them.
Yeah.
So let's just vote on this,
Mhm.
and then we'll vote on it again at the board.
So is that a motion?
No, sir, no.
Yeah. Well, you can make a motion, or you can make a motion to, with 60% of the increase, or
You
somebody else can make a
help me with the
motion.
wording of this.
Uh-huh.
I would like to make a positive recommendation that this is presented to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen based on the numbers that she's provided to us today.
I think that's the proper motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any other discussion, except for Mark? No, I'm just kidding. Say anything you want to, Mr. Messick. I'm just.
Hey, I can take it, go ahead. I'm used to
Because this will be discussed at the board, and that may be something that you bring up at the board, and it gets,
I'm pretty
adjusted
sure
there,
that I will
so.
not speak highly of it when we go to the board, you know, so.
but you can't say it was a spirited debate.
But I can say that we passed it with a positive recommendation.
Okay.
To be reviewed.
Do what, I'm
To
sorry?
be reviewed.
Yeah,
I would recommend on that presentation, have some of the numbers that he was discussing to,
I would too, if you're gonna do it, yeah. It makes more sense.
It does make sense to increase them after 20 years.
We
but
do.
it does
We
seem
do.
a bit excessive in some of them.
Unless the paper will go back to their rates 20 years ago.
I think you guys ought to negotiate with the paper a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to the mayor, why don't you go to the board meeting with the Manchester Times, to have this thing
They're
discussed?
charging y'all too much.
Anyway, all right, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Absolutely.
Okay, so one opposed.
Good job, Rick.
Yes. All right, let's see. No report from me, other than to, I wanted to apologize, is that right? Anything else on this agenda? We got Boza, but I was gonna say no other report from me other than to thank Dr. Swanson for filling in last month when I was out with a very long agenda. That was not intentional.
I think you sent the text.
As
to
he
my
laughs,
office.
as he laughs,
You didn't
as he
send it to
laughs.
me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the text come that you were, and so when I walked in there, I was all surprised, I was like, oh, man.
I apologize for that. Yes, I did.
Because the girls at the office were like, is this supposed to come to you? So I'm like, yeah.
I must have two numbers in mind.
Okay. You probably have my work and my cell.
I got you. I need to write that
That
down.
happens a lot.
All
So,
right, Adam, you have anything to report?
No, sir.
All right, Brittany, anything else? But you see you got annual training on here, is that,
Oh, that should have came up. No, that's on there. We're good.
Did we schedule that?
No. We have some open dates for our annual training, the 4-hour state training that the members have to have. There's several in June, starting after the 7th. There's several in July, so we was just gonna try to fill out if there's a certain day of the week, certain month you'd rather do it in, or does it matter?
Is there anything anybody's really
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
where?
available, I guess,
Yeah.
is a good question too.
Yeah, is there any time someone's just not available? Because if you don't train with us, we're gonna have it on our own this year, not with the county. Then you would either have to catch it with the county or Tullahoma.
And this is at that 4-hour AM session?
Yes.
Okay.
it's scheduled currently, at what time?
It's not scheduled.
We've not
We've got some
scheduled till we
prospective
talk,
dates,
yeah.
But, we didn't schedule anything because we don't know the schedule, and we wanted most of, as many of you to be there as possible.
July's not a good.
Yeah, July's not good.
What are the dates? Do we know?
I've got it at work on my desk.
Okay, It's like July, not July.
It's after June 7th.
It's the week of our meeting, or it was a few dates.
Yeah, just about the whole month of June after June 7th is available. I had it scheduled for the 19th, and then I realized that's one of our paid holidays.
Can't do that.
We're closed on the 19th.
That's right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
I was looking at that week of the meeting, and then there were some dates in July as well, but you all said not July.
Can this just be an email that you send out to all of us?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just scan in the calendar that
We'll
he's
bill her.
sent me and email it to you.
Why don't y'all just pick a date? I mean,
Saying
instead of,
that-
we're gonna have 7 different people want 7 different dates.
Okay.
Just pick a date.
We'll pick a date or two.
Yeah.
Won't you, if you can pick June the 16th, wouldn't that be the day of our meeting?
Yeah.
Well, just that way you know that most of us should be in town. Yeah.
Well, only 4 hours with them, a whole day with Sam.
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. We might be in here for a while.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
so we could actually start at 1 o'clock and then just go right into the meeting, you
Sounds
know?
like a grand
Yep.
time.
She looks so
I
excited.
know that. I'm just-
I'm trying to
She
understand
worried
that
about us
tone.
or she worried about herself? I'm not sure about that.
We'll send an email out, but
Okay.
that's our report, is that annual training is gonna be sometime in the summer.
Got it.
All right.
I'll
Change
get
that.
it on my calendar sometime in summer.
Mr. Messick, did you have a motion you wanted to make now?
I do absolutely would love to move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. All right, this will be the regular call meeting of the Manchester Board of Zoning Appeals. We have minutes from, was there a meeting last week?
Yes,
Hmm?
yes.
All right, minutes were from April 21. Was there any changes or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda tonight?
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Swan,
I second.
Ken seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, I would open the floor up for comments from the citizens who are here on the one item of business. Hearing none, we'll move on to that item of business, which is a variance request for Murphy Oil USA at 2538 Hillsborough Highway. You've been very patient. Thank you for waiting.
Should have argued just a little longer, shouldn't
I enjoy a spirited debate. Good evening, my name is Kat Kurk, I'm from Greenberg Fair on behalf of Murphy Oil, requesting a variance to reduce a rear lot setback from 20 feet to 5.21 feet. This is an existing gas station which is part of the Walmart outlet, and the rear lot line, it will be facing the Walmart's parking lot. The client is proposing to increase the building from 165 square feet to 1,400, which is the main reason why we're pushing the building towards the back, as the front setback requirement is 40 feet already. We are also increasing the number of fueling stations from 8 to 12, and pushing the building towards the back. Do you mind moving to the next slide? Oh, thank you. So this is the proposed site. This will allow for better flow and circulation of vehicular traffic throughout the site. It will allow us to add additional parking stalls. And the building itself will allow additional offerings, and this is Murphy's brand new prototypical site development. So we would like to bring in the next phase of their deployment. Additionally, we are keeping the front and side setbacks.
You tell me where to
Oh,
go.
that's fine. So the front and side backs, we are maintaining those, and we would like your consideration to allow us to move the building towards the back. So this is the proposed typical elevation. The building will actually be set farther towards the back of the lot with the parking and landscaping along Hillsborough Highway. And these are the typical elevations. So the canopy will be set back from the lot line 6 feet and the building 5.2 feet.
I like the gas prices. Is
And
that-
So it looks good.
That come along with it, yeah.
well, I'll try to ask him to keep us.
Okay. So go back to the first word, what it looks like now. Okay. And so, okay, so right now you have,
So this is a small building
Gotcha.
here, and we want to shift it. We'll be eliminating these curbs here with this landscaping,
Uh-huh.
and then shifting the building towards the back, allowing for wider driveways.
To access the pumping stations.
gotcha, now go to the new one now. Okay. Got a whole another level of detail there, trying to digest or whatever. Same number of pumps on each side, you just have more pumping stations.
Additional 2 islands.
Yeah, gotcha, I gotcha.
So Murphy Oil owns that lot where Walmart owns the back, is that correct?
It is a lease from Walmart, so we will be presenting the site for their approval as well.
So
once-
they own that lot
They do own the lot.
and
yes.
a lot behind.
Yes.
And I was gonna say, has it been posted?
Yes,
Brittany?
they're placed to sign on site within the timeframe it was supposed to be. I couldn't tell you if it's still there or not.
Any,
I can't account for that.
Any comments or?
We haven't had any phone calls, I don't
No.
believe.
So what
From
is-
Walmart you're talking about?
We're just from the
Yeah. Or anybody.
What is on the south property line? What's below the south?
Just
what
a
is-
road, I
Walmart
think it's
parking
just-
lot.
Walmart's parking
This
lot.
is directly adjacent to the Walmart parking lot. It's
Yeah,
part
so
of their
Robert's
property.
Toyota is right here. This
So
is-
that's not where all the tractor trailer trucks park, yeah.
It
Right
is.
in there,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, so they're right here.
I think
So
there's
it's
a
the-
drive aisle in between the back of the trucks and this parcel.
Yes, that'll help.
There you go.
What's the normal setback? What's the setback supposed to be?
20.
20 from the, yes.
And we're going from 20 to 5,
Mhm.
but we're doing it with the same
Okay.
company, same
So it's
lot.
not that main traffic area.
So it's almost like Murphy Oil needs to lease an additional 30 feet or something.
That's, I think, an easier fix.
Yeah.
Is to change the property line and keep the setbacks.
Except it takes in that drive, that would take in the drive that the tractor trailers are using.
So is the yellow line that you've got around
That's
those
existing.
pumps, that's the existing lease?
Yes.
Yeah,
And so all those trucks sitting there are just parked, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And so if you took, so you're not even really messing with the drive-through, just the truck parking you're messing with.
You're messing with that road, but she's got the,
Is there, is there
No,
to?
none of that's changing.
It's
That's
just
what-
going back toward the trucks.
Yeah.
If they got
Nothing on
additional,
this side's
Nothing
changing.
but,
But the,
no, but that's what we're saying.
if you move the property line.
If you move that lease line or property line
Mhm.
down 30 feet, you probably get back to the back end of those trucks. And so I don't know who parks their trucks there or why they're there, but that's a question for Walmart, I guess.
Yeah.
So, or could it be done, I think to Adam's point there, yeah, so if that lot line was, for the lease, was extended back 20 feet or whatever, then, and Walmart maintained a easement across that area for that drive, because that's not gonna impact the building, would that,
So the property line would have to.
they'd have to
shift.
change the property
They would
line,
have to do
that's
a
the problem,
preliminary
yeah.
final
It's
plat.
not the lease line, it's the property line that's,
Okay,
that's in
all
there.
right, so
and
this
it's
is,
only gotta move 15 feet, right?
But they would have to do a plat revision to do
Yes,
that,
they'd have to
right?
come
And they would
before
have
you
to
with the
come,
preliminary final
Walmart
plat.
would have to.
That's what we're talking about.
there's
We're
no
just talking
telling
about-
how many fees would get involved in that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But I
We
think
might
30
make
years from now,
$100.
if Murphy decides to sell it, now we've got a variance. I think if you're building new buildings, I think the proper fix is to move the property line.
I don't think Murphy owns that lot, though.
Walmart would have to.
owns the lot.
Walmart owns
Leasing.
all of it.
So if they decide to just no more, then,
See,
Variance goes away.
yeah, it just goes away.
If that building was
The
torn
lease goes
down.
out, yeah.
Okay.
So you're doing the same thing. You're just taking a long, complicated road to do one way, or a short, simple
Variance.
road to do it another way.
I'm not sure what you said. Either one way you give them a variance, and the other way you say, no, you don't get a variance.
That's right.
Right?
Well, no, you're asking them to lease another 30 foot behind that, or 20 foot.
15 feet,
15 foot.
yeah.
Adam, have you looked at their proposal? Do you have any comment on how that would impact the site or traffic or anything through there? or-
So, Brittany, was you gonna say something?
No?
So, I mean, it didn't come through formal review through our office. We talked about it in the pre-planning meeting, but just off first thoughts of it, I can't see, since it's a drive aisle there, that there would be a heavy negative impact to any type of traffic flow on the site. I guess it's just a matter of the variance issue. I wouldn't see a vehicular conflict.
Brittany, the setback pertains to the overhang stuff too, right? It's not just,
Yeah, the setback is for the,
is it just for the building?
so the canopy, like a gas station canopy has a 15-foot setback, I believe, rather than the full 20. However, they're proposing that their structure be that close, like
The entire thing?
yes.
The building and the canopy?
Yes.
Is all within it?
That's what I'm seeing here. So,
And it doesn't work, the concept doesn't work if you just shifted it all upwards a little bit?
no.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a conflict with where the tanks are, and just the traffic flow with the fueling trucks pulling in, refilling, and then if there's any traffic from the gas pumps themselves.
How big's the building that's there now?
The current building is,
Tiny thing.
Is it
165 square feet.
it's about 7 by
Closet.
20 or so,
Yeah.
and it's going to be 1,400 square feet now.
So putting a little market in there now. or
And
whatever.
adding parking spaces.
Yeah, so it'll be a walk-in station rather than just a walk-up station.
Looks better.
Yeah, it does.
And we do have multiple bollards in the rear of the building, just for safety. And all around the building, there's going to be 27 bollards, and then you have bumpers around the islands at the ends. So if there's any concern with the building being so close and not being protected from traffic.
Is that back door, is that what I'm seeing on the middle of the south side?
Right here?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Looks like some equipment or something sitting there. anyway.
Utility door.
move them to the next slide, please.
That's the last slide.
Oh, I'm sorry, one up then. That's just.
Okay, yeah, that's not a consumer or anything. That's a mechanical door.
If somebody else owned the property next door,
Might make a difference.
would it make a difference?
It seems kind of redundant to ask for variance from somebody you're actually leasing from,
Yeah.
to me.
Well, but then tomorrow, what if they sell it?
I know.
That's the whole thing about it.
Well, the buyer would be told what's, coming with the property. They would know about that variance or any easements or anything before they agreed.
Yeah, I don't know, I just think that's not what we have variances for.
I don't see anything wrong with going from a 165-foot building that they're paying taxes on to going to 1,400 square foot that they're paying taxes on. I mean,
I'm not
it's
against
in
that.
it's in the same lot. No one will ever know except us.
I think it's liability issue too.
I
There's a
don't
reason we
know why
have
there's any
setback
liability on
on
That's
us.
the reason we have setbacks,
You
right?
know, we make variances every day. around
I
here.
don't.
Well, we do. I don't know if I don't think we've ever turned a variance down since I've been on the planning committee. I don't remember it. This one's one that actually makes sense, I think. But then, I've been against everything y'all wanted tonight, so there's no need to stop now.
Next time you eat before you come.
Why?
So if I may, is the concern that the parking for the trucks is too close to the building, because we have some flexibility with asking Walmart to perhaps shift those stalls so that.
Mark, is there another way for them to do
Well,
this?
That's what I was trying to think of. I think the concern that I'm hearing from some board members is not necessarily the trucks, because your building really is not gonna actually, if that property line doesn't change, that's not going to affect anything as far as how those trucks are gonna move in and out. I guess the question really becomes the requirements for a variance, what really is the purpose of a variance, and whether this is appropriate purpose for a variance, is kind of what I'm hearing from the discussion. And yeah, so is there another way besides Walmart extending that line down and then maintain, you know, they could extend the line of that lot and they could really still only lease you from that line forward. But once that property line was relocated, and I'm assuming that is a true property line and not just a parcel line that's been put on that at the tax map. Do you know that?
I believe it is a true
Okay.
property line.
Then, but yeah, if that property line was moved, even if the leased area was the exact same area that it is right now, you wouldn't have a setback issue because you'd be off of the property line. And then if there ever was a transfer of ownership, it would not be an issue. I think everybody would, except from what I'm hearing, would like to see your project and would like to see that prototype store because it would look a lot better. It'd be nicer for the city. The trick just is sometimes doing a variance isn't just about necessarily for whoever has the lot to make more money on the lot. It's about, you know, is there something about the lot's configuration, the location, the different things, I think is what I'm hearing. Now, that doesn't mean this board can't do it. This board certainly has the power to grant the variance, and I don't think there's a.
So what's driving that building so far back is because you're putting in parking spaces?
Well, and they've got their underground storage tanks, I think, up
Yeah.
front.
Relocating those tanks, the convenience store size itself, just locating it within the property and positioning it so the pumps are easily accessible and can be safely navigated. That's what's moving the building towards the back.
Are those are below ground, right? They're
Yes.
below ground, right? Okay.
So where are they currently?
Look like is that them in the back there?
Yes, right here. So as you enter the site, they're right here, right now. And we are proposing them to
Move
be up
them
front.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
Okay.
Have you been through any other design options with that?
Yes, we've done
Without-
studies, and this is the client's preferred layout for all those mentioned reasons. And mostly it's for fuel delivery as well as vehicles being able to maneuver safely with the increased number of pumps.
So I would like to point out that I coordinated with them months ago and did a whole call with them. So this process started a little while ago.
Gotcha.
And we're hoping, since the adjacent property does not have any structures on it, that will influence your decision-making as well. And being a Walmart parking lot, you know, they typically don't extend towards the front of their properties.
But you have not yet been to Walmart for approval of the site plan?
They have seen the preliminary design, but the final approval depends on having this variance approved. Because if it is not approved, then we have to reconfigure the site again.
So you're gonna reconfigure the site, but you're not gonna talk to them about leasing another 15 feet?
Or I can talk to them about leasing it, so it's whichever way you're
It's not
leaning.
really a lease, it's just moving that property line.
Yeah. They could keep the property.
Keep the
just
lease.
Just move the,
Mhm.
keep the lease and move the property line.
Okay, so what's the thought process of, the-
When everybody votes yes, I'm gonna vote that we just go ahead and do the variance. So I'll be a no on all that stuff, so. Just want you to know up front.
It's affecting my thought processes right now.
Or are you making a motion, Mr.
No, sir.
Bessie?
I'm gonna make a motion, because I really don't see a reason in my thought process. I mean, I do understand the concerns from a liability, but seeing that it's basically a parking lot used for trucks that may or may not even be used by Walmart, I don't see how that's gonna really affect that too much. And I understand reselling it down the road, that could cause a problem, but you're still in basically the back part of the Walmart parking lot. So I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
I'll second it.
There you go.
Okay. So we've got a motion to approve, it's been seconded, is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey,
Nay.
Pardon?
Nay.
Okay, so we're 3 and 3?
You get the breakdown.
you get
All
the
right.
vote.
All right, so chair votes yes. So you get approved.
Well, this was fun tonight.
Coming in next month.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah, that's right.
Come in and get on time next month, why don't you?
All right, so is there I have no other report, is there, Adam, you have anything?
No, sir.
Brittany, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Who wants to make the final motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Who wants to second?